Group 3, welcome to week 2. We're going to be focusing this week on more boat handling and race course strategies. So we're going to be building off of last week, so if you haven't gone out and reviewed the videos, please go out and do that. It'd be very important because we're going to keep building week over week on these drills. So this week's focus, we're going to build off of boat speed like we talked about last week. I realize we only had one day worth of activities on the water, but please go out and review those videos, some of my commentary in the videos, as well as some of the instructional videos I had out there. Those will be important for you to review. But this week we're going to focus on windward lewards. So some of what we did last week, but we're going to use marks this week instead of the coach boats. That'll allow us to get a little more engaged with you guys as you're going through the drills. So what we're going to be looking for on the water this week is tacking and jibing. We'll talk about that momentarily. Mark roundings and lay lines. Lay lines we'll probably focus on Wednesday. So for Monday's drill, we're going to focus on tacking and mark roundings. Okay, windward leeward drill. You guys should all be very familiar with this. Simple course here represented by the blue balls. Wind direction you can see. You'll simply work your way up the course by tacking starboard port, and then come back downwind and start over again, reset, and continue around the course. We'll try to set these up to cause a little bit of congestion, but depending on the wind, we may stretch these out a little bit so that you can focus on executing your drills here and not as much on the actual tactics of racing. With this, so tacking, roll tacking. There's an excellent video out of week 1. You guys should be reviewing that. The video explains much more than I could here. With good commentary and video from a very well executed roll tack. So please go out and take a look at the video, and if you have questions, talk to one of the coaches on Monday or Tuesday. One of the important things as we go through a tack is the initiation phase. The skippers, you should be calling down the tack. Don't just simply yell tack and then shove the helm over and have your crew react to it. You guys should need to be a team out there. Skipper should say prepare to tack, crew acknowledge, ready. Skipper 3, 2, 1, tack. That's a proper execution. So crew, your job is not done at this point as the skipper tacks the boat. As you guys come across and flatten the boat, crew, you should be calling when the tack is complete. So after you see the boat go through head to wind and start on the new close hauled course, you should say stop tacking, tacking complete. Or if you see that it's not quite complete and the skipper stop turning, tell him tack not complete, and then acknowledge once the tack is complete. One of the things that I constantly see, and I saw last week, is that as you guys execute your tacks and they come across, the jib tends to flog and flop. That's slow. Try to get the jib in very efficiently. It should just fold across the mast and come right back in. Also make sure you're sheeting the main end and sheeting the jib end back on a close hauled course. Okay, a little animation here about what I'm talking about. Starting on a starboard tack here. Skipper calls for tack. Crew responds ready. Skipper counts 3, 2, 1, tack. So you'll do this as you're executing. You'll execute your tack. You roll tack to port. Crew says tack is complete. Jib comes across, and you continue on your way in your close hauled course. Jibing. Jibing, all of you are familiar with this. Similar to tacking, skipper needs to acknowledge that he's ready for jibe, prepare for jibe. Crew acknowledge, ready. Skipper 3, 2, 1, jibe. It's that simple. It can happen very quickly. Skipper, one of the big things I saw last week is initiating and controlling the jibe. Somebody actually got hurt last week from not controlling their jibe. You need to grab the main sheet by the bulk of the main sheet in between the boom and the bottom of the boat, and then force the jibe. Grab the main and throw it across. Crew, your job is to get the jib to the opposite side of the boat to go back on wing and wing. There should not be a lot of course change here. It should only be a few degrees. If you find that you're doing zigzags as you're going downwind significantly, you're turning too much. You need to slow that down and try to just minimal course adjustments, light course adjustments here. Crew, your job, once your jibe is complete, give the skipper the jib sheets and he will fly, or he or she will fly the jib. And then you will get into the position to lean the boat to windward and hold the boom out so that we don't have accidental jibes. Okay, simple little animation here, as I said. Starting on the starboard, skipper calls for jibe. Crew, ready. Skipper counts down 3, 2, 1, jibe. You execute your jibe. Skipper controls that jibe by bringing the main across. Then crew goes into position in downwind gear on the opposite tack. Okay, mark roundings. I'm not going to go through animations here and mark roundings. I actually have a good video. Once again, please go watch the video. It can be much more descriptive than I could do here. The key point in the mark rounding is you have room in a mark rounding, and we'll talk about rules in subsequent practices, but you have room. You want to be high of the mark, wide of the mark, and you want to exit narrow. There should not be enough room between you and the mark for a boat to fit in between you and that mark, either when going downwind or transitioning upwind. If you're executing those properly, a boat should not fit in there. Okay. Lastly is ley lines. This will be Wednesday's drills, but I'll talk about it here and we'll reinforce this. This is something that some of the teams have challenges with here, and it's something we need to really work on because it really impedes your ability to get around a race course efficiently if you don't understand these. So ley lines are simply put, they're imaginary lines that if you were to tack the boat on those lines, you would be able to get to the mark. It's important you don't sail past the ley lines for obvious reasons. The further you sail past these, the slower you are getting upwind. And obviously that puts you in a bad position. Okay, so here's an animation of this windward leeward course here. You see the windward mark. What these represent is the ley lines. You'll notice port and starboard ley line. So if you're on a starboard tack, you'll generally hit the port ley line, and you could theoretically tack and reach the mark. Not a good idea, but we'll talk about that during class. Starboard ley line, opposite. If you're on a port tack, you will be able to fetch the starboard ley line and then tack onto a starboard and be able to fetch the mark as well. So you'll notice they make a 90-degree arc. This isn't a hard and fast rule, but in general, the 420s will be able to achieve a 45 if you split it in the middle, but they'll be able to tack through 90 degrees. So the question, how do I know when I'm on the ley line? There's actually a simple little trick to do this. And the more you practice it, the better you'll get at it. And crews and skippers can do this. So as you approach the ley line, as you think you're getting on the ley line, what you want to do is hold your hand out 90 degrees to the boat. So whichever hand you have free, hold it straight out from the side of the boat. And if you're pointing at the mark, so your hand's here, 90 degrees to the boat, if you're pointing to the mark, you're on the ley line. You can tack and you should be able to round that mark. If you find you're low of the mark, you need to keep going. If you find you're high of the mark, you've actually overstood and you're in slow territory. Okay, let's have a good, safe practice this week. And if you have any questions, please feel free to talk to one of the coaches before or after the practices. Thank you.